Let's have a serious conversation about the state of modern women and the increasing number of women who experience social isolation. To avoid being taken advantage of, cheated on, or used by women, men need a deeper understanding of how women think before they can make decisions that will improve their quality of life.
Are you using me?
Women's roles have evolved considerably over the years, so let's start there. In the late 19th century, women began enrolling in universities and exploring fields like home economics. In the past, a student might earn a degree in home economics on their own. Women learned not just how to budget and handle the money that comes into and out of a house, but also how to set up a comfortable living space for themselves and their families.
It's very comfortable.
It was a place where women could learn the skills necessary to run a household and a business. Parents with disposable income back then typically sent their girls to school for home economics in the hopes of molding them into well-behaved housewives who would go on to have successful marriages and happy families. I don't understand why they acted the way they did.
Why are you acting like this?
Did they really want women to realize that men are stumbling blocks in their path to living happily ever after? Why did they choose to live apart if not because they were happy? It's important to keep in mind the social norms of the time. Things weren't as convenient as they are now, but that wasn't always the case. First, they lacked the education we enjoy today since they did not have access to the same information sources that we do.
You have no education.
Second, the soldiers were tasked with arduous missions, such as constructing roads, railroads, and other infrastructure in remote locations. Virtually everything had to be created by hand, using lots of hard labor. They were regularly subjected to arduous physical labor and long-distance travel. There are obvious biological reasons why women couldn't accomplish these things.
I can't do that.
As a result, males left the house to earn money while women stayed at home with the kids. They couldn't both stay at home because women couldn't do the work that men could back then. Both were content before to the advent of the feminist movement, which shifted people's perception that women could do anything men could. It shifted public opinion about women who worked in domestic service, suggesting that they were being mistreated and should seek other employment immediately.
I quit.
Women pushed back against the societal framework that stereotyped them as homemakers. They also rejected suburban life, which separated them further from the action in urban cores. Because the decision-making process had previously been male-dominated, they sought representation in order to establish a structure that would better accommodate their interests. In the 1950s, it was common for female household members to request larger quarters.
Tony, one large extra plankton.
When they finally got the larger homes, they felt even more out of place and rebelled. Women fought back against the norms of society that kept them at home to raise children and care for their spouses. The suburban lifestyle, which they felt kept them too far from the city's heart, was another target of their opposition.
Urban.
Since men historically dominated the system, women wanted a chance to be heard and have their needs taken into account during decision-making. During the 1950s, living room sizes were pushed up the agenda for female consumers. When they were given the larger houses, they rebelled again since it made them feel even less at home. Many studies have shown that happiness levels among women have not declined over the past half-century. I think this is because women were designed by nature to be nurturers of life and comfort, not passive-aggressive creatures competing with the world, and because they are often surrounded by other women in very competitive circumstances. Many women's dreams of getting married and having children have been dashed as a direct result of this. Divorce rates have risen in the industrialized world as a result, as people are unhappy in both their personal and professional lives.
I want a divorce.
The current state of gender norms and their interpretation throughout the world is utter anarchy. Explanation of the chain of events that led to this predicament. Women in the 20th century decided to enter the workforce full-time because they thought doing so would improve their quality of life. The nature and convenience of farms made it impossible for them to succeed. It was at this time when males decided they didn't want large families and would be happy with just 2 or 3 kids, prompting a mass exodus of families from fields and into major cities.
2 kids.
Social as the isolation and dissatisfaction of housewives grew, engineers of the time began to examine ways to bring women back into the workforce and the community. They tried to convince women that housework and raising children were intrinsically rewarding pursuits. But they failed to foresee the intimacy revolution that abortion, contraception, separation, and divorce would spark. Any woman could get pregnant at any time and choose not to have children at any time. As a result, individuals began to feel unwelcome in domestic settings and began to think that they would be better off finding love at work. It set them free from the confines of their homes and suburbs, where they had felt helpless because pregnancy limited their options. Before the advent of contraceptives and the no-fault divorce, in which one spouse does not have to establish wrongdoing on the part of the other in order to file for divorce, women naturally worried that their male partners would forsake them.
Have you forgot me?
No.
Therefore, the significance of a marriage vow for a woman was much higher in the past than in the present. It helped them financially while they brought up their kids and maintained a stable partnership in which the male partner vowed he would never leave the female partner. The advent of the birth control pill, however, altered this societal dynamic to the point where it became mostly irrelevant.
Birth control pills are...
Biologically speaking, a woman's responsibility does include bearing children and caring for them. It doesn't surprise me that many contemporary women are unhappy, given that they have abandoned lifestyles that run counter to their biological nature and purpose. Patriarchy is unpopular amongst females because it stands in the way of women fulfilling their biological potential and achieving happiness. Early humans were nomadic hunters and gatherers.
I love hunting. I'm a master hunter.
They fight, they hunt, and they bring supplies like weapons and food. But women traditionally take care of children and the home. They start a family and bring up their kids. The social standards that men have always followed persist today.
I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man.
People of this culture are foragers and predators. They go to the office, deal with their professional and business battles, and make a living. The females, on the other hand, are not happy with the current state of affairs. Therefore, they made adjustments so that they could lead normal human lives.
I just want a normal, happy life.
It's in opposition to the nourisher's inherent universality. Pill-popping women and no-fault divorces have tainted society. If women could establish their own social structures and require men to adhere to those norms, it would be fantastic. If it doesn't happen, though, why can't they just be happy with the systems that exist now? Many people have tried to convince them to follow their natural tendencies, but they are uninterested.
Why aren't you happy?
The women want all that the men have. They are also keen on engaging in foraging activities. They are self-aware enough to know that they can't do the job as well as men because of biological differences. It's a shame that in today's sophisticated society, people can opt out of having kids and get divorced if they so desire, but are still dissatisfied with their lives.
It's a shame.
Because of the notion that remaining at home is oppressive, society has made it such that women can have children without experiencing loneliness while raising them. So long as it doesn't harm anyone else, women should have complete freedom of choice. According to me, it's important for women to find common ground between their aspirations and their innate proclivities. If they go too far to one extreme, they will feel the kind of sadness that has been felt by people throughout history.
I felt really sad.
They have to find ways to spend time with friends and family while still caring for their homes, husbands, and children. A company or a career opportunity. Anything that gets people moving in the right direction without putting their families at risk. This explains why contemporary women feel alienated from society and why they loathe white men so much. You're welcome for viewing. Help us out by liking and subscribing.